We're talking about koi food, food for your fish pond. You'll hear the phrase garbage in, garbage out. We're normally talking about computers and coding, but it also applies, to food. I learned this lesson with our Rottweiler that we used to have guarding our pond store. We ran into a stretch where people love to jump over the fish and steal the koi out of our display ponds. So our Rottweiler lived there for a while, and I learned all about garbage in and garbage out when we bought some really cheap dog food for him. And there was a lot of garbage out. And the same thing works with your fish. If you feed them, garbage foods, feed them dog food, or just, table scraps or anything that a bulk product to save money, they may produce a lot of waste with that. And that's going to end up costing you money in the long run. All that extra fish waste is going to cause you to have to deal with more filtration, more products to keep your pond clean, more water clarifiers, more adding and cleaning your filters more often. So you may end up costing yourself time and money by trying to save money on cheap food for your koi. All of the major brands are good. If there's one that you like the color of the label or the name on the box, sometimes it's the same food repackaged. Just we always try to list the ingredients on our site to say, here's exactly what we have. Now, the one time that you want to get real picky is if you're showing your koi, if you're really trying to, go for deeper colors and build up the reds in your koi, then maybe spend a little bit more. There's flake food, there's pellet food. You can buy blocks of food, something that's going to dissolve slowly. So if you're gone for any period of time, you could put that block in and it'll feed them out for 5 to 7 days while you're gone. That's something to be aware of. Early in the season, we always recommend and never had problems with throwing some Cheerios in early in the year or even late in the year. Don't feed during the winter. And probably the most important thing about feeding is not to overfeed. No matter which food you're buying, don't overfeed your koi. They eat like frickin' pigs. They'll eat more than they need, and it's just going to be that much more waste. So, throw a little bit of food out, and if they can't eat it quickly, if there's something left, you're feeding them too much. One other thing to consider is any kind of a feeding ring. Now, you can always buy a feeding ring. It's just basically a piece of tubing that connects and floats, and you can tether it somewhere so it's not floating all over your pond, and that's where you dump your food in. And that keeps it from running over into your skimmers and getting away, because if you fed the koi and they haven't eaten it, you don't want to leave that food in. You want to net that out and throw it away. And I know you're saying, man, I don't want to waste that food I just gave them. But if they don't eat it right away, it's already wasted, because it's going to sink down to the bottom and dissolve and cause you more problems than it's worth. So, don't overfeed. Use a feeding ring, and if you can make one yourself, buy one. They're very inexpensive. Take a big plastic lid and cut the center out of it, feeding ring. So, those are the main things to keep in mind when it comes to buying food and feeding your koi.